my little braids here, they just temporary. This is not a real. I'm gonna let y'all know for these 2 episodes, this was not a real style.
All your life, you did not have to fight,
right?
Okay?
This was I got my hair washed and blow dried so I could get it braided earlier. Can you put that at the top of the episode? Because I probably been saying this is not a real style. This just happened. Now I'm cute still. Be clear, but this was not a real style. And luckily I got a little hang time, like Rudy said.
Yeah. Now your hair is long. When your hair that long, even in braids, that's pretty impressive.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Part 3 of the Hillsong documentary. So we covered last time about Carl Lentz, his cheating, him being abused, how even just say past traumas, how that can affect your leadership. But then with Brian Houston, he had a situation where it got deep rooted into just say his past lineage and his father, Frank Houston, who was kind of like the founder of all of this, and how he had some really, really deep, dark secrets when it came down to, and it's been a minute since I watched it, but correct me if I'm wrong, it was like dealing with children and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right? Molesting young boys, touching young boys.
Right. And so after he had, Brian Houston has already just said, fired Carl, and from Carl and his wife's point of view, maybe even felt like they were, ostracized and all of this from just say his cheating scandal or whatever. They became just say the Houston family had their scandal of their own because his father was, has this history of, molesting boys and children and things like that. And I think his father, I guess, was passed away at this particular time. But when they went to digging deep about that stuff and even questioning Brian about it, he basically kind of, had a decision to make, which leads to the question that Kellie asked us off camera before, which was how far would you go to protect your dad? Because once again, as y'all talk about it, it'll strike my memory some more because it's been a minute since I've seen it. But I felt like I remember him kind of like going hard to protect him at first, but then it might have softened up, or maybe he's stood 10 toes down in his protection the whole way through. But that's our discussion for part 3.
So Janessa has probably seen it most recently, and I haven't seen episode 4. But what I can remember is when it first surfaced, Frank Houston was still alive. When it first surfaced, Frank Houston was still alive. I think that he admitted to it one time, one person. And that's one of the people who talked throughout.
Who was on the interview. Right.
Doing the interview. Yep. One person, one time. And so when Brian Houston went to defend his dad in the beginning, that's kind of what he stated. I think eventually they tried to pay off that guy. Again, I didn't watch season 4, so I don't know what happened with that. And for him to apologize. Now, this is years later, 20, 30 years, 40 years, maybe later, that this has happened in terms of the guy coming forward and they're trying to pay him off or whatever. And then I remember that dad got dementia and then was kind of unfit, if you will, to kind of give any additional information because of his illness. And then he passed away. And so, but like you said, and again, Janessa can probably fill us in. There was a part where Uh-oh. Can you still hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, just froze. Okay. You look frozen for a second too. There was a part where
Take off. Just go back.
right, and she always freezes it like the worst times. She like frozen, like eating something. Like he always catches you at like the worst time. But and I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, so in terms of how far would you protect your dad, the thought was just right. You hear that your father has done this terrible thing that you can't imagine that your father has done. You addressed him about it. He tells you this, how far do you go? Do you protect them? Do you tell? Do you keep it a secret? Do you lie? Do you downplay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think even before Janessa, even before you give us any more context that we probably missed, just even off my memory, I feel like Brian Houston just say protecting his dad stemmed from a deeper place than just let me protect my dad because this is my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that may have been part of it, but when you are kind of just say caught up in the Rico case yourself, you know what I'm saying? There's a level of protecting your own ass that you try to, you know what I'm saying? That you're trying to attach to this protection of your father. And it's not to say like, okay, I can, maybe they got hard evidence and I can't completely deny everything that he's done. But if I just go to spilling the beans, and maybe I haven't done the same thing, but I've also done wrong, that it's going to then expose me as well. And to me, I really felt that when it came down to Brian Houston, when he was just say protecting his dad or defending his dad or trying not to reveal everything, because it's pretty clear that Hillsong in totality had a lot of secrets, you know what I'm saying, that didn't just start at the New York church with Carl, you know what I'm saying, and even all the people the 150,000 members all over the US or whatever. Like this was deep rooted back into a whole nother continent, you know what I'm saying, with the school and where the foundation of Hillsong had even started. I know they were under a different name before that, and because of the music, they brought Hill and Song together, and it became like the ultimate name. But it seemed like this is a very deep rooted, kind of dark past that they had, and because of that, I feel like not only it could have exposed more things about Brian, but it could maybe even expose more things about just say other loved ones of his, whether you're talking about maybe his wife, maybe I don't know if he had a brother, but brother, friends, uncle, whoever, you know what I'm saying? I feel like like I said, it could have him protecting his dad. I felt like was more than just, this, let me just look out for Pops. Like I feel like it was much more deep rooted than that, in my personal opinion.
So Kellie, yes, you were right. I think on the first part of the story. The second part was, so I guess the father had a church. I forgot the name of it, but it was separate from Hillsong. And so eventually, like when he was doing the press or making statements, he, was very careful to make sure he separated the two. Like, this does not happen at Hillsong. This happened at Crestview. And even or I think it was called Crestview. And even it just seemed like when he would talk, it was very scripted. Like Rudy said, it wasn't necessary, like admitting full guilt and just sorry, apologies, and so sorry this happened. It was just kind of like, well, this is what I was told. So I'm telling you what I was told. It was, just kind of keeping the space. However, there's a few, I think, cases going on currently. And one of those is because eventually Brian Houston eventually steps down because there's a case that is brought to him saying that he knew that his father had assaulted these people or children. And there's one guy, I think the guy you were talking about, Rudy, there was a discrepancy between when he knew. Mm-hmm. But even beyond when he knew of what his father had done, apparently there was some committee, royal council meeting, something like a committee that kind of did an investigation of this whole situation. And they came back, with shocking results, but nothing was ever done. And then it was like the police chief and other high officials who would kind of be involved in the situation were also church members of Hillsong. And so nothing really was done. Well, I guess this was released in 2023. The last, how they kind of have words on the screen at the end of each episode, kind of giving a recap or whatever. One of the recaps was Brian Houston had a currently open case about him knowing that his father had assaulted these children and didn't do anything about it. And it was documented in this committee, whatever. And so he was supposed to be going to trial, I think, June of 2023. So that's like very recent. His part in protecting his father has now cost him a case. So yes, it's very complex because there also is another case, I think, that's supposed to be coming due to the finances, because the finances, it was a lot going on with where the money was going and who was getting it. So Hillsong has a lot going on to this day.
So I just looked it up real quick Google search. So in August 17 of 2023, the Washington Post, this is just the headline. It just says Brian Houston acquitted by Australian court in sexual abuse cover-up case. And then I even clicked something that just says, what is Brian Houston doing in 2024? And it says, at the beginning of this year, Houston posted a video on his hopes of 2024. His quote is, God will restore what the devil has stolen. He insisted and announced his next venture, an online church initiative where he and Bobby, who is his wife, would preach and minister every Sunday via their new website. So that's where he's currently at. God's going to restore what the devil has stolen.
So to all of that, and Rudy, I actually want to ask you first. How far would you go to protect your father?
So I will preface this by saying I'm a firm believer in you never know what you would do until you're in that situation. So this is just me answering not being in that situation.
Hopefully never being in that situation.
Hopefully. Well, yeah. Well, in that particular situation, yes. I mean, I get. So I think part of my answer is even, it's depending on what's going on and what Absolutely. He's, what he's done. Like, I mean, right. If right now, if I was standing in court and it was my word versus just say a police who had a speedometer and it was like, no, I caught your dad driving 150 miles per hour. And I was like, I was in the car with him. His car don't even go that fast. He wasn't doing it. He was doing 40, and that's my word. I'm sticking to it. Of course, that's one.
Not 150 to 40. That's you.
Yeah. Of course, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But in this particular case, like if we're gonna just say hypothetically mirror the Houston family situation, see, I don't really see myself defending anybody, let alone even my own father, if it came down to a whole just say child molestation thing. And it don't matter whether it was boy or girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know some people might feel like it's worse because it's boys, so like you molesting children and you gay. But for me, it wouldn't matter because, like, for me, like that's like I wouldn't want to claim you as my father in the first place. I couldn't really see myself wanting any type of association with you. But at the same time, like if I put myself in a situation like Brian was, where let's say I've known this for a while, and I've also, but because going to last episode where Janessa was talking about, she felt like they just did this for money anyways. If I'm chasing after, let's say, like even in the midst of your darkness, you built this foundation that I can take this foundation and then make this mega church where I can make all this money. If that's my goal, I can see how I can be a part of the sweeping under the rug of all the dirt, because, you know, I'm already in love with the thing that's the root of all evil in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like having a goal to make a lot of money and being in love with money can be two totally different things. And I feel like Brian's agenda was already in a dark place. And so if I was in his shoes and I was already chasing after that darkness, and then I put myself in a position where I'm now exposing myself, I could see how my flesh would say, all right, let me cover Pops so I can also cover myself and cover, you know, the lineage and the legacy of Hillsong and everything that has been built from it. But just me being in who I am right now and not necessarily being in that place of even having that foundation or even chasing after something like that. I don't really see myself protecting any of my loved ones, but just in this case, my dad, off of something like that. Now, like I said, I would be willing to protect my dad even if he was wrong in certain situations. But this particular situation is not one of them. And because I used to even have a rule when I used to go out to the club about like whether I was in college with different frat brothers I had or homeboys I had. Like if we get into a fight because we're defending ourselves, like even if it's just two of us against 80, like I'll wear that ass whooping with you. But if you want to be out here drunk and you just picking fights with people, I'm gonna let you get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I ain't gonna let them kill you. I'll get them up off you before it get too bad. But I'm not gonna be fighting with you and you picking a fight. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't have your back that deep. Like, I'm gonna let you get what you deserve. But if it's just me and you and we defending ourselves, then even if we both end up in the hospital or even the grave, like I'll ride with you all the way down, because I'm not, you know, because we, you know, even if it was just your beef, like, but somebody is disrespecting you or picking a fight with you or attacked you or tried to jump you or whatever the case may be, then I got your back. But I don't have your back when you've kind of, you know, made your own bed.
Rudy, so, does this apply to me and Kellie as well? Just
yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. 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 And I'm kind of even just using that example to tie back into this. Like, once again, you're talking about something like a speeding ticket, or even, you know, even let's just say, God forbid, let's just say like my dad, there would even be a difference. Like if my dad was like a murderer, he went out and like killed somebody, versus even just say like he accidentally killed somebody. Because let's say they got into, my dad don't go to the bar, but let's say they got in a bar fight, right? And he punched the dude so hard, the dude fell, hit his head on the bar, had a seizure, died, right? Like I would go to extents to protect my dad in that situation, where it's like, you know, I'm gonna try to do everything that I can for him not to be convicted as this murderer, versus if I found out like he just out here, you know, he just in traffic, just knocking niggas off, you know what I'm saying? Just, oh, what, you looked at me, bam, you know what I'm saying? Go somewhere else. Oh, you looked at me, bam. Then it's kind of like, I don't even want to be associated with that person. So whatever the court decide to do with him, get him out of society and my life, because he's a menace. You know what I'm saying? So that's me.
Now, I would agree with you. Mine is short before you go, Janessa. Like, I think it would depend. Would I go to great lengths to protect my father and my mother? Absolutely. But if it was just something, like I said, molesting kids, shooting people just because, you know, I may just be quiet. I don't know nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, but you know, like I said, some other things. Would I go there for my father? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because and before you go, Janessa, I guess because even with just going back to the kids thing specifically, I guess my sentiment is kind of the same, similar to what I made the comment about the 63-year-old bishop and his, 18-year-old daughter. Like, I feel like if your mind is in a certain place, who knows if my own children are safe around you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so like if you would do this to somebody else's kids, I don't know just because they're your grandkids, you wouldn't do it to them. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't want to jeopardize my own kids because I'm trying to look out for you and what you done did to somebody else's kid. Like I said, so there are certain things that I can see myself just being quiet about and just listen. I'll let you and your lawyers figure that out, but I'm just not going to say nothing. That way I don't confirm nor deny. But then there's other things where I might dial 911 myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, get this nigga up out of here, man. He don't deserve to be free. But go ahead, Janessa.
So, I mean, my answer is a combination of both of y'all's. This situation, yeah, I'd probably be one. Well, I would say something. I wouldn't. I don't think I would help cover it up. Just because I know people and just personal experience, like, it's a lot. Childhood abuse is a lot. So I can't see myself trying to cover up something that I personally have experienced like that. No. Now, I do agree. Depending on the situation, I probably would do a lot for my parents. Probably close to, can we say things like close to breaking the law?
They're gonna go back to this podcast and use this. Maybe we shouldn't have this conversation. Because let our parents do something. They gonna go right on back. They gonna find this and dig this up, and
Rudy, go to YouTube, episode 24 of season 4. Delete it.
You're gonna be on the stand, and all of a sudden, evidence number E24. You mentioned.
Your Honor, the title of the episode is "How far would you go to protect your dad?"
She's lying. Anything she says, not true. Maybe we should.
I would
delete.
Help a lot as much as possible. Okay, as much as possible. Kellie, as much as possible. According to the law of the land.
I'm telling, on them all. I'm telling.
But I don't play about my daddy now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. It's. I guess my not question really for y'all, but I guess my question even come down to the Houston family is like, was that just like under Frank's immediate families, or is their whole family, like this, and not necessarily doing what he done, but I'm saying like they just all kind of operate in this darkness that seems like a light. They're all these kind of, just say, if you will, wolves in sheep's clothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I like, there are people who just say like their granddaddy, just as an example, their granddaddy sold drugs, the father sold drugs, and then they sold drugs. And then there are some people who the granddaddy sold drugs, the father sold drugs, but then the son was like, I don't want to continue this, this legacy for my family, so I'm going to try to do it the legit way. And to me, it seemed like Brian may not have just followed exactly in his father's footsteps, but still was was willing to just carry on that legacy for the sake of, because even throwing out words like we're gonna get back, God is gonna restore what the devil has stolen. Like, see, to me, when you make them type of statements, like what did the devil steal per se? Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, did he steal your 30 locations? Did he steal your family's legacy, that your dad is the reason why, is the root of where it kind of came from? Because like, you saying that makes it seem like everything that y'all have been accused of is false. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just kind of created this false narrative, and now God is going to redeem y'all, you know what I'm saying, and show that y'all were these good people the whole time, when it's just not the truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not the truth. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you, because even going to when Pastor Carl and his wife was on the Breakfast Club. Remember I told y'all he was on the Breakfast Club recently, because they were
I watched it.
They were talking about their podcast, but then even just talking about just all of that, the cheating, the how they healed from that, where they are now. And it was even interesting how like when DJ Envy first introduced him, like he said Pastor Carl, and Carl and his wife kind of giggled, and he was like, "Why y'all laughing?" And they were just like, well, because he's not a pastor no more, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And so they were like, "Oh, well, I thought once you was a pastor, kind of like being a doctor, you just always kind of carry that title." And so Carl was just like, I mean, you can call me whatever you want to. It ain't that big of a deal, but like, I don't, I'm not a pastor right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just don't really, go by that or whatever. And you can even see, even though they were promoting a podcast and stuff like that, there was definitely a level of sincerity in where they are at in their lives right now. Like there was not one time where Carl tried to, not take ownership for what he did. Like even times where I think they mentioned something like, because I think his wife was like, yeah, so he told me that, because I think they asked, like, how did you find out? She was like, yeah, well, he told me that he cheated. And then there was this whole like whatever. And then so he interrupted and was like, no, like I got caught. And then I told her because I knew it was getting ready to hit the media, and I wanted her to find out from me before it hit the media. He was like, so I don't want to make it seem like at that time in my life I was just some type of moral person. Right. Like I was still trying to do damage control at that time. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like he you can tell that they're at a place where I'm not only taking accountability for what I did, but even how I went about it, even at that time. Like I didn't. It's not like I had cheated and then I was like, oh, I feel so bad. Let me tell my wife. I had done been caught. You feel what I'm saying? And this was getting ready to be a big thing. And I wanted to go ahead and tell my family just so that they could hear it from me and not from, the news. And he was even thinking about like at that time, like what can I admit and what can I still cover up so that, so that everything isn't out there. But since then, through therapy and just all the healing, everything they've been through, like they're at a place now where we'll just put it all out there. Like it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And what I'm bringing it up because I don't feel like Brian Houston is at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like he still wants to try to, okay, yeah, they know about this, but we can still cover this up to try to salvage, our reputation to then eventually go back to making the money or having the church or, most people are watching virtually anyway. So let's just do it online and and preach the gospel that way. Like it's kind of like girlfriends I've had in the past who cheated on me, and it's like it's 10, 15 years later, and you still lying about this? Like you still hold on to this lie? Not only I caught you, we're not together, nor are we gonna be together, and you still feel like you have to lie at this point, like, you know what I'm saying, or even downplay it. No, remember, I only kissed him. You did, you know what I'm saying? So, but it is so for me, it's kind of a slap in the face when somebody is willing to continue the cover up, especially when you've already been, caught red-handed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, I just feel like that's where Brian Houston is. So once again, protecting your dad, I get it. Protecting your child, if you had a child that did something, or a sibling, or whatever, protecting a loved one in general, a husband, a wife, like I get automatically wanting to, defend their name, or defend, or just not want them to have to spend the rest of their life in jail, whatever the case may be. But I mean, how far are you trying to really go to just say have, to try to have what you had in the past, which obviously wasn't that good, because at least according to the documentary and just the different things that we watched, it appears that there were more people hurt by Hillsong than helped in the long run. You know what I'm saying? Like there were more people who were distraught than who are like, yo, because of Hillsong, like I'm continuing to thrive. There's other people who just moved on and just attached themselves to another church, and there's other people who don't even think God exists at all because of what these humans have done.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at TheWorstOnesPK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at TheWorstOnesPK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Just make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show.
So, speaking of that, one of the ladies was talking about how she wouldn't go to another church ever again on this side of heaven.
Right.
And they were talking about how she said she wanted one of two things to happen. I can't remember what one of them was, but of course the other was for Hillsong. Oh, for Hillsong to either be shut down completely or to be rebuilt in, like solid foundation, Christian principles, and not on corporation mindset, money mindset, things like that. And a few other people wanted, the church to be shut down. But in the little end credits, they were talking about, I think 6 of the 16 locations in the United States are still open. And then the New York location where Carl Lentz was the pastor has about 500 people who still attend on a weekly basis. And I think it's interesting. And this could be I don't think it's a topic, but it's just a question that I do wonder. Like the people who are still there, why are they still there? Same with like New Birth, or other churches who have gone through, some type of trauma or public situation. The people who stay, why do they stay? And I know in the documentary, there's another guy who's a pastor. And one of the, I guess, people they were interviewing, he was kind of like he wears like a beanie. He has kind of like free flowing hair. It's just kind of doing its own thing. It's kind of like a certain look. I don't know what they call it today. What I really want to say is completely not right. To me, To me, it's kind of giving like homeless, but it's not. I don't know what the proper word of what the style is.
I can't help you.
But one of the people were like, I can see through the facade. And it just made me wonder, like, why were people still going? Because it just seems like a wash, rinse, and repeat. Like, a younger guy with a little edge who's charismatic. That's the person who they put in charge after Brian Houston stepped down. Mm-hmm. So clearly it's still pulling in some people, but other people, it's turned them away. Some completely from the faith. But I know that's a little off topic from the dad situation. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, you guys on Kellie?
I can't remember what it was though. That's why I did that.
Oh, well, I think so. I can't speak for Hillsong specifically, or neither New Birth specifically, but I know with New Birth, like because like their Sunday services like come across my algorithm sometimes, and I know like though they are still up and operating, they've definitely taken a huge hit still. Because for one, I've heard Pastor Jamal Bryant talk about, like on podcasts, I've seen him on how much debt the church was in when he took on, the position, as well. But even like if you watch their services, like that sanctuary ain't full. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't use the balcony at all. The balcony is completely closed. And then even like the bottom level is, I mean, there's considering the size of the church, it's not full. Like there's definitely a couple hundred people in there for sure. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But even all of downstairs isn't full all the way to the back. You know what I'm saying? So there's still an effect that from just say the whole Bishop Eddie Long scandal that still plagues that church, and I think that I'm pretty sure they hired Pastor Jamal Bryant to try to counter that, because like though he it's public knowledge. I mean, he's talked about it plenty of times about him cheating on his wife and stuff like that. I think that, and I don't know this for sure, this is just my own personal thoughts, I think that might be kind of one of the reasons why he was hired to take over that church, not just because he cheated, but like he's not necessarily, at least that we know of, he's not necessarily living in secret about darkness, where because you dealt with a church that got hit hard because of the secrets of the pastor. And so to counter that, it's like, well, let's get somebody who has revealed their secrets. And so you can kind of build that trust in the next person. And with Hillsong, I'm not sure the story of the people who are in charge of it now. But so I don't know what, maybe just say their strategy has been or is right now. But some people may even just be there just because they stuck around, being the fact that Brian Houston and Carl Lentz and all them are no longer associated. And some people may, be there out of curiosity, you know what I'm saying? Or some people may feel like it's a come up. Now that all of these, big wigs are out the way, I can climb the ranks and be the next Carl Lentz or be the next, Brian Houston, or, like, I mean, people are opportunists, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's just a real thing. So like I said, I don't know any of these things to be true. So I'm not like sketching any of this in stone, but just my own analysis. I think people have their own motives, and a lot of times that can influence them to stick around in something that appears like they should have just left alone.
Now, go ahead, Kellie.
Yeah, some chewing.
No, I was saying that does make sense. And I was trying to look quickly to see if Hillsong College is still open. Because that's like kind of the whole premise of the school is to kind of as a feeder school until the Hillsong world. I don't know what to call it. And so that could possibly have been it too. You have a line of people kind of, waiting for their opportunity. Maybe they're not going to be the next Carl Lentz or something like that, but get a name for themselves, because that is, we talk about this all the time in terms of like church culture. Yes, there used to be sermons you could buy after church, whatever. But now you have books and albums and clothing lines and this, that, and the third. But it's not it's not built off of the church's money, but your influence in the church to cause the people to want to buy your journals or whatever. And so that might be it too, just kind of like getting your foot in the door, getting a name, to just kind of build off these other branches that other people in ministry are doing. And I think it's unfortunate, because then we get into kind of where we are today, where there's a bunch of pastors, ministers, who literally open up churches for the profits of it. It's not really about the ministry of it. Maybe there's a inkling of it, but not like a real call, because we talk about that on this podcast all the time. People who call themselves and those who are called, and it just seems like there's a lot of people that call themselves, but this Hillsong situation, like the college, y'all, is really throwing me, because it's like they literally have this whole institution to groom and make preachers or worship leaders or whatever. But again, it's not the mindset of ministry, it's the mindset of money. But it's like a whole institution dedicated to the mindset of money, and it's blowing my mind. Like, there's more. We just got a lot more work to do in the kingdom. That's all.
Not a mindset of ministry, but a mindset of money. Amen. Amen. And I haven't listened to the Breakfast Club interview or any of the podcasts, so that may change my mind. But you know whose ministry I may join?
Ooh.
Pastor Carl's wife. Because you done embarrassed me. You done cheated on me. You done made me look crazy in front of all these people, not just on a small scale on the church, but they done a whole documentary on Hulu about it.
4 episodes.
4 episodes. And she's stuck beside him. And so going back to, and I'm sure, and he talked about it a little bit in the Hillsong documentary, and I'm sure, like you said, he goes into it. I may listen today to the Breakfast Club interview. He started, but the importance of mental health, as we talked about, the importance of therapy, the importance of healing, the importance of those things, the importance of marriage and what marriage stands for, which is why I said that I would be a part of her ministry, because I feel like that is what marriage is about and it's for. So oftentimes something comes up and it's like, okay, I'm gone. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Cheating is a deal breaker. This is a deal breaker. This is a deal breaker. Now, my husband go and molesting children. He out. And I'm telling
Right.
Ain't no question. My husband go commit some crazy crime. And baby, I'm on that stand like, yep. But he did it. But I think that's the story now that I want to hear. Is hers, just in the context, concepts, confines of just marriage, that she loved this man so much, that she stood beside him. And I don't know if she understood my husband went through this childhood trauma, that was he wasn't healed from it. That wasn't the word I'm looking for, but he was unhealed for it. It was unresolved. And so I get him, I understand him, I know this man, I love this man, I forgive this man. And, he's going through, like, her process is really what I want to hear as a woman. That she continues to stand by her man. Because like a Giselle Bryant, who is also on the reality, and I don't watch the reality TV shows, but I know who's also on the reality TV shows. And you talked about Pastor Jamal Bryant, and he's open about his transgressions and blah, 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 whatever. They're not together no more. He just proposed to somebody else. And so what made Pastor Carl's wife stay? And I think that's the women's ministry conversation there that I want to be a part of,
Right.
Especially as a woman looking to be married, and not knowing what comes along with that. I'm blessed to, my parents celebrated 38 years in May. And so I'm blessed to be able to see a marriage that is long lasting and loving. But I don't know the ins and outs of the relationship. And to be honest with you, I don't want to know the ins and outs of their relationship. They can have that. Let me live in my bubble in this beautiful life they created and all of that. That's all I want to know.
Right.
But I think that's what hits me. And I don't know. Again, I don't know. Did his wife come with him to the podcast at Breakfast Club? Okay.
He kind of talks about what you're talking
about. Yeah.
So I would love to hear that. I would love to see, shoot, you want to capitalize and make money. Baby, write me a book and a workbook and a marriage thing on on this and how you guys recovered from this. Because there go a gold mine there. Capitalize on it. And I don't even know if she saw the future and saw that, and say, hey, I can stick with him and we can continue to do this on the other end of him, or if it was truly just, I love this man. I don't know, but I think that's the story I want to hear. That's the ministry. If Hillsong, if I was a part of the congregation, if I was part of the church, it sounds like that Pastor Carl and his wife are trying to do what is right at this point. Like you said, Brian Houston seemed like he's still about the mindset of money, but it seems like that Pastor Carl somewhere, even him wanting to go to Hillsong in the first place had a love for ministry. There was something at the core of him that made him want to minister before the Houston family turned him out.
Turned him out. Yeah. So, no, they definitely, she definitely speaks to that. And not, I'll let you watch it, but she definitely talks about like just the influx of DMs and messages she's just gotten over the years of women who are, like, to your point, like, want to know like what's the secret, if you will, like what's the how did you just say stick this out or whatever, and they discuss like the hardships that they dealt with to get to the point they're at now, and even the ones that they still deal with to this point, you know what I'm saying, because it's some things can still be triggering or whatever like that, but even just going to kind of parallel to our topic as far as how far would you go to protect your dad, even though this was her husband, I think that what helped them out, not that this was the end all be all, but part of what helped them out was Carl not looking for protection from her, you know what I'm saying, and taking accountability and doing the work to earn her trust back to I mean, because he, like, even his kids were kind of split. Like, one daughter forgave him immediately. Another daughter told him, like, I won't forgive you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, so like he was fighting for something else besides trying to repair his reputation versus Brian protecting his dad was all about reputation, because we need to try to get this money train back, back going. And so, and I think that's the difference, you know what I'm saying, in just even the two situations, even though, like I said, it's a protection of a father versus protection of a husband, but even just protecting a loved one, I think when that loved one is willing to not, I've already jeopardized you once. I'm not going to continue to jeopardize you for the sake of my own reputation. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to completely lay in this bed that I've created for all of us, because yeah, I'm taking a big hit from it, but my wife is taking a hit from it in our personal life as well as even publicly. My kids are taking a hit from it in our personal life as well as publicly. And this is something that we all have to, get through. And I think that, like I said, if the person who quote unquote needs protection doesn't continue to jeopardize their loved ones to try to have to protect them, I think there's a place of redemption and healing that can happen versus, y'all just taking a shovel and continuing to dig a deeper and deeper hole. Because even with the whole dementia thing, like, who knows how true that was? He can't, he can't really, he got dementia, so he can't really remember and talk about it no more. You know what I mean? That sounds like a pretty convenient.
And didn't they say the doctor went to Hillsong too or something? That
I don't remember, but I'm sure probably, with as much power and influence they had, you can easy could have got anything written off. You know what I'm saying? And you just, you know what I'm saying? So who knows what lengths that they went to try to once again protect the Houston legacy versus the accountability. Forget the legacy. Let me protect the people who I love instead of trying to have them protect me for my wrongdoings. So, anything else from anybody before we go to Janessa's jewels?
Good.
All right. Janessa, the floor is yours.
So this jewel is nothing life-changing, or, well, I would say maybe not life-changing, but it's nothing razzle-dazzle. A friend posted this and it just stuck with me, and I want to share it with our listeners. It says, sometimes you need a stop doing list as badly as you do a to-do list. And she posted, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, yet expecting different results. And I had to take a stop and pause, because I was like, oftentimes when we are doing the same things over and over, we're constantly, okay, you're going to change. So you want to lose weight, you're going to start going to the gym, you're going to start eating healthy, you're going to drink water, you're going to stretch, you come up with this to-do list of all the things you're going to do to get in shape. But there's also some things that are just as important. Stop doing. You maybe drinking every weekend, or eating late at night, or eating out all the time. So even though this example is really basic and has to do with weight, it could be applied to anywhere. And as someone who feels like I have a never-ending to-do list, I'm going to start implementing this quote and see what I can stop doing. And I'll circle back and see and let y'all know if this helped my life. But it sounds like it could. So that's all I got.
No, that's a good one. You always downplay the jewels.
I was about to say, I knew as soon as you said it wasn't going to be life-changing.
Right. It was going to be life-changing. That is good. Right. Because you do get caught up in what to do. And how intentional are we about what not to do and what we shouldn't do and what we should stop doing. Oh, that's a word.
And a lot of times the things that you haven't stopped doing prevents you from the things that you're trying to start doing.
Come on. Joint sermon. Amen.
Joint sermon.
You're gonna have the jewel box in a minute.
Rudy Rubies.
Kellie got the keys. The jewel box.
Good. Amen.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. So still private at Princess Kellie.
Still private.
Still private. But if you do follow me, I got a couple of trips coming up. So I
If you've already made it into the kingdom.
Right. If you're already here, I got some stuff coming.
The members only. The
right.
members.
I got some stuff coming. So that's all. That's all.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there. It's a lot of garden content just because that's what takes up a lot of my time. So yeah, follow me over there.
Amen. And our producer at Risa_G, RHESA_G. I'm not. Does Risa post a lot on social media right now?
Right now. No, I mean baby stuff. And then walking Reese and Crimson and yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I was getting ready to add. I'm about to say y'all can definitely, because I know as far as like personal text messages as well as Oh, you don't?
She doesn't post it. No, she doesn't post his face often. You know.
Well, I'm about to say personal text messages as well as in that little family album app thing that she created. My photo album is flooded with Crimson right now. So I was gonna say y'all can follow her there to see all that type of stuff, but I guess you won't see as much as
you won't at all.
So well, that's something I understand. You seen Tyler Perry, even in his documentary, I don't know if y'all watched it, but anytime his son was in it, you either seen the back of his head, or even if his head turned to the side a little bit, they blurred it out. Like he was never shown. Never in there. If you ain't seen him in person, you ain't seen him.
Right.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that's just wonderful. I'm assuming, I guess we probably can have a part 4. Maybe, I guess, after the last episode. I don't know. We'll figure that out. If there'll be a part 4 to Hillsong.
I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll get my hair braided.
Or if we'll, if there's anything else that we want to discuss. If you guys have watched it, you can leave in the comments. And if there's anything else that we have not discussed that you want to hear us talk about, please just let us know. And hopefully we can get both of these young ladies to watch the Book of Clarence. And we can discuss that, because that would be, I think, a great conversation. But y'all,
maybe I'll watch that tomorrow too while I'm getting my hair braided. About a 6 hour process. So I got a lot of time.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank y'all as always for watching us on YouTube, listening to us on all podcast platforms. We sincerely appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Please leave us a comment or review, 5-star review. And most of all, share these episodes with somebody. Share them with a couple people. And have them comment as well and let us know what they think. We would love to hear from you guys. But until next time, we are the worst ones. We are out.